So this has been a challenging and interesting week. Challenging because of what's happening in India, and I'm very much affected by it because I am from India. I have family in India, and I'm part of this organization from Michigan, which has come together to help in this COVID crisis in India. And I'm volunteering in a few places here and there. So I know what's going on, how dire the situation is, and it's just, I have no words for it. So as I was, going through all of that, and that's still going on, but I have figured out my bearing on how am I going to be with it. But anyways, when it hits you unexpectedly, you get swept up in it. And, I started to feel a lot of fear for my family. And I started to feel fear that it's really like this avalanche of COVID that just is going to take over the world. It's going to come here. And I started thinking maybe I should get the vaccine, so really very, fearful. And I started telling my family, make sure they have the vaccine. So it's like when we are struck by fear, we resolve to take an action because it makes us feel better, and the action may not be well thought out. And we kind of get desperate. And so I thought, well, I'll entertain the idea, and not that I have anything against vaccines or for vaccines. And I think it's a personal decision. I think there's, many things to consider, and however you consider those things, it's all personal, and everyone has the right to do that. So I started to look into, read up information, and it's funny, when I was leaning towards taking it, I got a lot of information which is telling you, yay, go for it. And so more information I read, less I understood, more questions I had. So anyways, a couple of days later, and I talked to a few people who have either taken it or not taken it, and see how they came to that conclusion, whether to take it or not to take it. So anyways, as I was going through that process, I started to feel very uneasy. I started to really have more questions and answers, and it really didn't lead me to any decision one way or the other. And that's exactly what happens when we make our decision from a fear, from a place of fear, when we make our decision based on just the limited perspective of the mind or the ego, because we are, and the more we stay inside the fear, it doesn't matter which side you go on or what measures you take, the fear remains, because any measure you take doesn't seem to be enough. And then you're grasping at to see, what more can I do? What more can I do? So as I started to feel that, heavy-hearted, conflicted, and not knowing what to do, that's when I realized that I'm not going to make a decision from the information, and I'm not going to make a decision from my fear-based ego and from my mind. So that's when I knew. I said, no, just don't read any more information. Don't. And the truth is, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even a medical doctor. I understand the medical language because of the work that I do. So I can understand, some of the things there, but I have no way of knowing, because we only know what we read. And there's so much conflicting information. There's so many conflicting views. And I knew that I wasn't going to get anywhere no matter how much information I got. So I just wanted to let go of the idea and neither, chase the vaccine nor resist it. There was no reason to do anything. And I decided that I would just, just be, and let's just see what shows up. And I decided I was just going to let really step away from the fear and all the other energies that I was picking up from the environment, because, remember, the body is the antenna. We pick up everybody's energy. So I really picked up. I stepped into the fear that's happening in India, that's really happening all over. And I forgot to ask the question, what is mine and what's not mine? Does this make sense? Does this not make sense? Does this resonate with me? Does this not resonate with me? So when I decided that I was just going to step away from all of that and just drop into my heart, the answer will come. Whatever answer is the best answer for me, my inside, my heart will guide me. After all, it has guided me all of these years and has never let me down. I've never not known the solution to a problem anytime when I drop into the heart. It shows me the way every single time. So anyways, that's what I decided to do. And it's the right thing to do for you because of how it makes you feel better. When you make a decision and it makes you feel conflicted, it makes you feel heavy-hearted, it makes you feel less than, you know that you need to take more time to think through this. So when you feel aligned, okay, balanced, at peace, you know that you're making the right decision for you. Unfortunately, we're living in times where, it's an unfortunate thing because we really don't know what to rely on. We don't really know what to believe, who to believe, and what to do. So we really are left at our own devices. And that's where our own ability to tune into the inner reservoir of wisdom and knowing comes in handy. So that's where the years of meditation practices, or even if you're starting now, it's going to come in handy, because meditation is a way to connect to the larger intelligence and the reservoir, which is going to guide you. And the only way we can hear our inner voice is when we are able to shut the external voices out from time to time. So, staying away is really finding a balance between, I want to know what's going on, everybody's okay. And, I'm also part of the, organization, which is volunteering. So I want to see if there's unneeded anywhere. So it's finding a balance between the information and when you need to pull back in. It's almost looking at the information, stepping away, looking at it, and not making it your own. And that's the practice. That's the yoga practice. Don't get attached, step away, observe. So all of these things, came to a head for me this week as I had to kind of decipher through my own inner world, which was, I became fearful, conflicted, not knowing what to do. And it was, this is a messy place, messy and a difficult place to be in. So that's the process of growth, the process of healing, or the process of coming to your own. And it's not an easy process. It's a messy process. So how do we stick through it? And many times we don't really sort out or get answers to all of our questions. Sometimes you just let go and put one foot ahead of the other and go out for a walk, do the dishes, make some dinner, and do the daily mundane things and just live your life. And you realize that whatever you're searching, you didn't even need the answers for that. And what happens when we let go of trying to find the answers, they come with a little bit more clarity when you're not so fixated on figuring it out. So it's really important to know when you get so thick in the, so really stuck in the thick of all this external happening and the information that you got to step out so you can see clearly and you can think clearly. So many other things came up for me, like this wanting to conform, wanting to, be responsible, being like the communitarianism, like I want to do this for my community. I don't want to infect anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. I want to be a responsible citizen and take my responsibility. And so many of these things that we need to think through, because many times it can be misplaced and it can be a way to appease, to please others so they can kind of get off our back. So that's the human psyche. We go through a myriad of feelings and emotions, and so much goes through our head, and just staying present to all of that is what can help you stay in this messy process of figuring things out. And I started to also feel guilty, and I'm like, here we're talking about conditioning and mental conditioning and finding your voice and all of that, and here's the whole world, people are just will do anything to get a bit more oxygen to be able to breathe. So it all becomes relative, doesn't it? Then it really comes down to the wire. What is really the most important thing? What is the most important thing that you can do? So everything is important. Every podcast that I have done, every word that I've spoken, I think there's a validity to it. It's important to do that. But then here I'm seeing people just literally dying from not having oxygen, not having the ventilator, or not being able to take a breath. So, wow. And this is what we go through internally in our mind to figure out. So it's, and we are human beings, which means it's not possible for us to be affected by other people. And it's actually, our strongest point, which is our ability to care, our ability to feel deeply, our ability to feel the compassion for others, right? But then it's just such a tricky thing to be empathetic, but separate what's yours, what's not yours. Because ultimately, we have to make the decisions that resonate with us. We have to make the decisions that we feel good about. We have to make the decisions that make us feel lifted and expanded, and take us in the direction that we want to do. So isn't it a tricky thing? It's such a tricky and a challenging thing to be a human on this planet during this time. It's not an easy time to be in. And so that's the gist of this podcast, is really knowing that this middle place of figuring things out, that the process of growth is not a linear process, it's not a clean process. When we are bombarded by so much challenges on the external, that it can become a tricky process. But my go-to is always, how am I feeling? If this is not making me feel right, I can't do it. I don't want to wake up in the morning feeling heavy-hearted and conflicted. I don't want to have a headache. I don't want to, stay in my head. It's not a good place for me to be in. I want the head to be clear so it can clearly show me the path that I need to go to. When the head is constantly engaged, trying to, figure this out or figure that out. And you know what the truth is? The mind we can be manipulated into anything. I call it manipulation. I'm using it more in the lighter sense, that we can be convinced because there's enough evidence. For example, vaccine, there's enough examples, there's enough evidence saying take it, it's a good thing. On the other hand, there's enough evidence saying you shouldn't take it. And it really does become an individual choice. there's so much, it really depends on so many other things. And so much of this is not yet explained or understood. So it's whichever side, whatever, so this is what I decided. I decided that whether I take it or not, I'm going to be okay either ways. I decided that whatever decision I make is going to be the best decision for me, and I'm fine either way. So I'm neither for it nor I resist it. I'm just in a place of neutral, and allow it to be. It'll show itself to me if I need to move one way or the other. So this brings me to really, knowing how to trust that inner voice, trust your inner knowing. Many times when we think about the word trust, we use trust actually is a really big, trust actually is a very, it's such a, like a kind of a fundamental concept to living in this world. But many times we use it in a smaller context. We use it in, in our, in relationships or in things, or, I don't trust this product, or I don't trust this person. I don't trust what this person is saying. So to me, I think that's like a smaller context. And when I use trust in a bigger context, it has a whole new meaning. So trusting in the bigger context means trusting in the divine design. And even when you see all the chaos and all the darkness and all the deaths that are taking place in the world, and it just breaks your heart. So you have to trust that. And even whether it's a pandemic or pandemic, doesn't matter, whether it is somebody is wanting to control, it doesn't really matter. So I came to the realization that, the universe or God works through human beings. Whatever human beings are doing, there's a bigger plan that they are part of, even when they don't know it. So I trust that this is all part of divine design. Although it's being carried out by humans have to carry it out. But the idea or what each human being is doing on this planet is working with the energies that they have, is, or karma, we call it. So I trust that there's a divine design, and whatever is in my best interest, my inner voice will guide me to it. And it helps me to be in that place because, frankly, for me, it's more pragmatic. I don't have to have the headache. I can be joyous. I can be with ease, and I can continue to kind of follow what shows up. And so for me, I use the trust that's using the word trust in a bigger context. And I think that if we can trust the bigger picture, the little things, they get worked out. So it's kind of in the bigger picture, all of our little problems get resolved. So many times we don't really, we don't resolve every little problem. Many times we grow out of them. It just no longer holds our interest. So it's kind of like when we are evolving and becoming more conscious. So each level of consciousness is a place of existence, right? So if you are at this level of consciousness and there's something happening at this level of consciousness, it's not a match. You're not even there. So, or if it happens at this level of consciousness and you're up there, whatever is happening here, it's not even a match. It's not going to be in your field of awareness. So it really doesn't matter. So I'm kind of rambling on, and this is kind of, like a sample of what my week has been. I've moved from one thing to the next, and it's been a little bit chaotic. And almost kind of felt like survival, even though I'm not hit by what the, India is hit by, but I feel so close to it. It's like as if it's happening to me. That's when, we need to step away. Being empathetic is a good thing, but then get enmeshed in, is not very useful, because then you are not operating from a place of trust, or operating from a place of, or a bigger context, or you're not really able to help anybody if you become as fear-stricken as everyone else is, right? So, but it's very easy. It does happen. So just to recognize our human condition, that the inner world, we go through so much inner dialogue, so much messiness in the inner world that we go through, and to finally come to a place where we can, I can breathe. This feels better. This feels like me. This resonates with me, and that's what I'm going to do. So, the moral of the story is, continue to do practices that connect you to that inner voice, because that's what's going to come in handy when you need to make decisions. That's what's going to come in handy when there is a challenge. And that's what feeds the soul. That's really truly what gives us the energy, the purpose, or the inspiration to continue to move on, to continue to move forward. So, doing, daily practices, it doesn't matter what kind of meditation practice you do. It could be you are just journaling, or you do a prayer, or you do a walking meditation, or you do yoga, or you have a conversation with a trusted friend. It's, make it like a routine practice, just like brushing your teeth, because when you do that, it really builds a connection. It builds your connection to your higher self. It builds a connection to that place within you which knows, right? So you want to solidify that connection, and you want to cultivate and nurture that connection, because that connection is what's going to give us the answers, is going to give us the way, show us the way when we need it. And that's the only thing that ever helps me in difficult times. That's how I'm able to, find my voice. You get so many things, from family members, do this way or do it that way. So it's the ability to be able to listen to and honor everyone else, but also honor yourself in the most compassionate and respectful way without putting anybody down, but most importantly, not doing something that's against the integrity of your own being, your own soul. So do find a practice that resonates with you. It is such a necessity during this time to maintain our sanity, to be able to see clearly and think clearly, and really to be able to be any good to our, fellow human beings, our family members, our friends, our neighbors, whoever might need us. So, and there's a lot that a human being has to deal with. We are sovereign beings that are true. We are light beings, and it doesn't matter, what you're doing right now. The fact that we are living through this time, and there's a purpose to us. There's a reason why we are living through these times. And as each one of us, goes through the inner struggles and continue to find our voice and continue to connect with our deeper self and continue to have our light illuminate the path. As long as we're doing it for ourselves, it doesn't matter, at which level or where you are or what it is that you are struggling with. You are a light being, whether you know it or not. You are helping the collective human being. If you're helping yourself, If you're helping yourself finding your voice and really connecting with your light, you are helping this entire world. So all of us are light workers. All of us are becoming, transforming into this fifth dimensional, multi-dimensional human beings. We have been, but we are realizing that it doesn't matter what we do for a living, but that's the upgrade that the humanity is going through. We don't have to do anything special to be upgraded. We just have to be present. So, and what else? I just wanted to see if there's some other mess that my own mind created during this week, so I can share it with you and probably resonate with you, because this is what we all go through. So my resolve was, again, to when you don't know what to do a simple thing that you know to do. So my simple thing, my go-to things are meditation always. And go-to thing is it maybe watch an old TV program and just have a few laughs. It gets you out of your own predicament, your own head. Go for a walk. Today's a rainy day, so I haven't gone out yet. I may pick up an umbrella and go, because I need to move. Movement is wonderful. It moves the stuck energy. It kind of really opening the window to your room when you're moving. It lets the air in, greater, bigger circulation, and you can see clearly and the answers come. So many of my answers come while I'm walking, and I just quickly jot them down on my cell phone or I record. So yeah, that's it. And I think I'm going to end with this. I hope that you have a great week. So continue to take care of yourselves and continue to find something that brings you joy, that brings you peace, that makes you feel like you, and step away from the messy external. Observe it, but don't get inside it where you lose yourself, like I did for a couple of days. So yeah, one day at a time. Keep finding your bliss, keep smiling, and I will chat with you next week. Take care.